Hi students, let's continue the class. In the last class, we have studied about synthesis of plant food other than carbohydrate. We know by the process of photosynthesis, plants synthesize carbohydrate. But other than carbohydrate, there are some of the components of food. How these food synthesized by the plants, that is we have studied in the last class. The component of food, the other component of food prepared in the plant, that is nitrogen. How the plants obtain nitrogen? That is nitrogen is present in the air, and this nitrogen is present in the form of gas, but this is not suitable for the plant to absorb. That's why the bacteria rhizobium, which is present in the soil, it converts gaseous nitrogen into usable form. Then this converted nitrogen is absorbed by the plant and it prepares proteins. This is we have studied in the last class. And there is one more method to provide nitrogen to the plants, that is spreading fertilizers in the field. These fertilizers are rich in nitrogen and these fertilizers provide nitrogen to the plant. Then plant produces proteins and vitamins by utilizing nitrogen. Then about other modes of nutrition we have studied in the last class. Up to here we have studied about autotrophic mode of nutrition, and in the last class we have studied about some other modes of nutrition. They are means some of the plants depend on other plants for its food. This mode of nutrition is called heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Here the yellow colored network like spread plant, which is its name is Cuscuta. Cuscutta. Cuscuta. It is a yellow colored thread like plant spread on a green plant. This plant name is Cuscuta, and it is called parasite because it depends on other plants for its food. The plant which gives food, it is called host. Some other example for parasite is mosquitoes, bedbugs, lice and leeches. These animals or these organisms sucks blood from other animals. That's why these are also parasites. See here, insectivorous plants. These are insectivorous plants and its name is picture plant. Because why it is called insectivorous plant? Because it feeds on insects. These plants eat and digest the insects for its nutrition. That's why it is called insectivorous plant. This plant has a jug-like modified leaf. The leaf of this plant is modified into the form of jug or a picture. That's why this plant is called picture plant. What are insectivorous plants? The plants which get nutrition by eating and digesting insects are called insectivorous plants. See, these plants also having green color. Green color means these are also shows the presence of chlorophyll, and these also carry out photosynthesis. Then also why they feed on insects? Because these plants grow in a soil which do not contain sufficient nitrogen. To obtain sufficient nitrogen, these plants feed on insects. Then this is the new topic today, that is saprotrophs. This is also a mode of nutrition. Means here, have you seen these structures on the land, or have you seen some organisms like this? Yes, these are mushrooms. These are comes under saprotrophs. What do you mean by saprotrophs then? See here, you may have seen fluffy umbrella like patches growing in moist soils or rotting wood during the rainy season. Yes, you observe these organisms during rainy season, and these mushrooms are grown in a dirty soil or a moist soil and some other wood also. During rainy season you can observe these organisms, and these grow on moist means wet soil and some decaying wood. Decay means destroying wood. On these these mushrooms are growing during rainy season. These organisms do not have mouths like animals and do not have chlorophyll like plants to make food by photosynthesis. See this organism, which color is, in which color it is found? Brown, white, sometimes grey, sometimes coffee color. But these mushrooms will not found in green color, and they don't have mouth also. How they feed or how they make their food? Because to carry out photosynthesis there is a need of chlorophyll, but these organisms they don't have chlorophyll. Means how they prepare their food? Then how these organisms acquire nutrients? See, to understand about the nutrition of this organism, let's do an activity to find out what type of nutrients they need to survive and from where they get them. From where these organisms get the nutrition and how they get the nutrition, let's study with an activity. See here, activity 1.2. What to do? See here. Take a piece of bread and moisten it with water. Take a piece of bread and sprinkle some water on it. Leave it in a moist, warm place for 2 to 3 days or until fluffy patches appear on them. See, you take a piece of bread, on that bread sprinkle some water and keep it in a particular area and keep it in a room or keep it in some window side or keep it in a warm area or a moist area for 2 to 3 days, or you can leave it up to some fluffy patches appears on it. The fluffy patches may have light green, brown, grey or black color. The patches which appear on a bread, they may have green color or light green color, brown color, grey or sometimes black color. I think you have observed these patches on the bread and some on some lemon also. See, this is orange and this is lemon and this is carrot and this is bread. On these vegetables and this bread there is some grey or a brown, grey and black colored patches. These patches are nothing but fungi. Yes, these patches are nothing but fungi. These are fungi. When you observe these patches under a microscope, you will see cotton-like threads spread in the piece of bread. When you observe this piece of bread under microscope, the patches found on the bread appear in the form of cotton threads. These patches appear in the form of cotton threads like this. I have given two images here. When you observe these patches on the bread under microscope, it will observe like this, like a threads of cotton. Like this it will observe, like a threads of cotton. Have you understood? Yes. You do this activity in your home, and I know there is no microscope. Just you observe these fluffy patches on the bread or any fruit you can keep to do this activity. Next study. See, we have understood that there are some patches appears on the bread or fruits when we keep it for 1 to 2 days. See, what are these organisms? What are the characteristics of these organisms? Let's study. See here, these organisms are called fungi. The fluffy patches which appear on a bread or a fruit, no? These organisms are called fungi. They have different mode of nutrition. Up to here, we have studied about autotrophic mode of nutrition found in the plants which have chlorophyll and which undergo the process of photosynthesis for the preparation of its own food. And secondly, about heterotrophic mode of nutrition that found in animals and the insectivorous plant. It also feed on insects. That means it is also heterotroph. And along with the heterotrophic character, that insectivorous plants, that is picture plant, it also prepares its food. That means it carry out both the processes. It carry out both the processes. But and here these organisms, means these fungi, have different mode of nutrition. Means they will not feed on any other organisms, and they will not feed on, or they will not prepare their own food. They absorb the nutrient from the bread, or they absorb the nutrient from the dead and decaying material. Dead and decaying material means the material which is called as waste, the material which is going to destroy. On that material these organisms going to feed and they get their nutrient. The mode of nutrition in which organisms take in nutrients from dead and decaying matter is called saprotrophic nutrition. Now you can say, what do you mean by saprotrophic nutrition? It is a mode of nutrition in which organisms take in nutrients from dead and decaying matter. Here, this is a mode of nutrition. Here, the organisms take in nutrients from dead and decaying matter. Means the thing or the organism which is dead, or the thing which is destroyed, on these things this saprotrophic organism feed and they get nutrition. That's why these organisms are called saprotrophs. The organism with saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called saprotrophs. See, the organisms which are having autotrophic mode of nutrition, they are called autotrophs. The organisms which are having heterotrophic mode of nutrition, they are called heterotrophs. The organisms with saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called saprotrophs. It is clear now. Now see, fungi also grow on pickles, leather, cloths and other things that are left in hot and humid weather for long time. Humid means wet, hot means hot, you know. Fungi also grows on, see in the last slide I have shown you fungi growing on bread and fungi growing on some fruits and vegetables. Here fungi also grow on pickles. When you keep pickles in a open vessel, fungi also grow on it, and fungi also grow on leather. Fungi also grow on cloths. When you keep it in a wet condition for long time, fungi will grow on these things. Then the fungal spores are generally present in the air. When they land on wet and warm things, they germinate and grow. What do you mean by fungal spores here? These are the reproductive cells of fungi. These are the reproductive cells of fungi. When these reproductive cells of fungi are present in the air, they are moving from here and there in the air. When they land on some area, or when they land on some things, when they get warm and wet condition, they start germinating and they will grow. Next, during rainy season, they spoil many things, because in this season, the soil, wood and other things becomes wet, and it is the favorable condition for the fungi. Yes, during rainy season, these fungi will grow in the faster manner, in the faster way, because rainy season means we all know it will be wet condition in the environment. This is the favorable condition for the fungi. That's why these fungi grow in a faster way. That's why these fungi spoil many things in rainy season. Next, some organisms live together and share both shelter and nutrients. This relationship is called symbiosis. Up to here we have studied different modes of nutrition. Here, different modes of nutrition found in different organisms, but they live together to get their nutrition. Up to here we have studied different modes of nutrition found in different organisms. Here, two organisms of different nutrition combine together or live together and they share their nutrition. And this relationship is called symbiosis. I have given one example, you can understand now. Example 1. Certain fungi live inside the roots of plants. Some fungi live inside the roots of plant. The plants provide nutrients to the fungus and in turn the fungus provides water and certain nutrients. Here fungi lives in the roots of plants, means fungus gets shelter there. Fungus gets shelter from the plant. In turn, the fungus provide water and certain nutrients to the plant. The plants provide shelter and some nutrients to the fungus. In turn, fungus provide water and nutrients to the plants. Means both are living in both are living together. Means this relationship is called symbiosis. Means fungi and plant both are getting profit. Both are benefited here. Plant provides shelter and nutrition to the fungus. Fungus provide water and nutrients to the plant. Means both live together and both get benefited. This type of relationship is called symbiosis. See one more example here. Algae and fungi live together. Such organisms called lichens. Here I have explained about algae. These algae grow on water bodies. Green color patches found on the water bodies. These are algae. These also having chlorophyll. That's why these are found in green color. They are having chlorophyll means they carry out the process photosynthesis for the preparation of its own food. Here fungi, they will not prepare their own food because the mode of nutrition found in fungi is saprotrophic mode. Here fungi, which type of nutrition found in the fungi? That is saprotrophic mode of nutrition, means they feed on dead and decaying things. These fungi feed on dead and decaying things, but these algae are autotrophs. They prepare their own food. How they live together? See here. Algae contains chlorophyll. Fungus provides shelter, water and minerals to the algae. In return, algae prepares and provides food to the fungus. Here algae is autotroph. It prepares its food. Fungus, it will not prepare its food, but it provides shelter, water and minerals. These fungus, it provides shelter. Shelter in the sense place. It provides place to the algae and it provides water and minerals. Fungi, it absorb the water and minerals from dead and decaying organisms or dead and decaying materials. That absorb water and minerals is provided to the algae. Algae prepares food and it is provided to the fungus. Like this, these two algae and fungi live together. And when these live together, that organism is called lichens. What do you mean by lichens then? It is the organism which includes or in which algae and fungi live together. That is called lichens. When algae and fungi live together, that organism is called lichen. When algae and fungi live together, that organism is called lichen. Here algae prepares its own food. Fungi provides water and minerals and shelter to the algae. Algae provides the prepared food to the fungus. Like this, both are benefited. And such organisms called lichens. See the images here. These are the lichens. Means fungi growing on these dead and decaying organisms. When an algae combines with this fungi provides place in the sense shelter to the algae, and water and minerals which is absorbed by the fungus is provided to the algae. This algae prepares the food and it in turn provides food to the fungus. See here, algae are always in green color. They are growing on a water bodies. But here there is no place for the algae on the rocks. But the fungus provide suitable condition for the algae to grow on the rocks, and algae provides food to the fungus, and when they live together, that organism is called lichens. See, on the trees also, trees in the sense decayed wood of a tree. On this also these lichens are growing. These lichens are the indicators of air pollution, where the air is polluted. In that conditions, these lichens are growing. Here in some area the lichens are growing means the air is not good. That means air is polluted. These are the indicators of air pollution. It is clear. Next, see, up to here we have studied about nutritions and the mode of nutritions. How these nutrients are replenished in the soil. See, plants absorb water and minerals from the soil, and they absorb carbon dioxide from the air, and during the presence of sunlight, these plants prepares its food, that is glucose. And plants also absorb nitrogen from the soil, which is converted by the rhizobium bacteria. See, but the plants keep on utilizing these nutrients from the soil. How these nutrients are replenished? In the sense, how these nutrients are replaced? Let's study. Plants absorb minerals and nutrients from the soil. So their amounts in the soil keep on declining. Declining means decreasing. Here, plants absorb minerals and nutrients from the plants, we know. So, this continuous absorption of minerals, water and nutrients from the soil keep on, means the amount of these nutrients in the soil keep on declining. Declining means decreasing. This continuous use of nutrients leads into the decrease in the amount of nutrients in the soil. How these nutrients are replaced in the soil? See, yes, that is by fertilizers and manures. Farmers are spreading some fertilizers in the field. Have you seen this? Yes. See the images here? There is a farmer. They are spreading fertilizers in the field. Means these fertilizers are rich in nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. These are the nutrients. These nutrients are added to the soil to replace the amount of nutrients in the soil. Fertilizers and manures contain nutrients such as nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus, etc. These nutrients need to be added from time to time to enrich the soil. Now it is clear how these nutrients are replenished, means replaced in the soil. The plants continuously absorb minerals and nutrients from the soil. This leads to the decrease in the amount of nutrients in the soil. Means how it is replaced? By adding fertilizers and manures time to time to enrich the soil. By adding nutrients to the soil, the amount of nutrients in the soil is replaced. Like this, we can grow plants and keep them healthy by fulfilling the nutrient requirement of plants. By adding fertilizers and manures, we can fulfill the requirement of plants. By adding fertilizers and manures which are rich in nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, we can fulfill the nutrient requirement of plants. See here, about this I have explained already. How these plants, see, farmers are going to add nutrients to the field, and these nutrients are rich in nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, and which is absorbed by the plants and utilized to prepare the protein and some other components of food. Here one more natural process to absorb the nitrogen that I have said with the help of rhizobium bacteria. Yes, that process is explained in detail here. Crop plants absorb a lot of nitrogen and the soil becomes deficient in nitrogen. Yes, crop plants absorb a lot of nitrogen for the preparation of protein and other components of food. That leads to the decrease in the amount of nitrogen in the soil. Deficient means decreasing or a scarcity of nitrogen in soil. We know that nitrogen gas is available in plenty in the air. Yes, we know. I have explained the percentage of nitrogen in the air is 78%. Here plenty means more. More percentage of nitrogen gas is found in the air. But plant cannot use it in the manner they can use carbon dioxide. How the plants use carbon dioxide or how these plants absorb carbon dioxide? Yes, that is through the stomatal pores. Through this pore, plants absorb carbon dioxide, and through this pore only plant releases out oxygen. But it is not possible for the plants to absorb nitrogen in the manner they can use carbon dioxide. It is not possible for the plants to absorb nitrogen in the gaseous form. They need nitrogen in the soluble form. Because of this reason, because the plants need nitrogen in the soluble form, that's why they can't absorb carbon dioxide. They cannot absorb nitrogen in the manner they absorb carbon dioxide. The bacterium called Rhizobium can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into a usable form. Yes, I have said this. A bacterium which is present in the soil, the name of that bacteria is Rhizobium. It converts the atmospheric nitrogen, means the gaseous form of nitrogen, into usable form. Means the gaseous nitrogen is converted into soluble form, and this converted nitrogen is absorbed by the plant. But see here, but Rhizobium cannot make its own food. See, Rhizobium, it cannot make its own food. So it often lives in the roots of grams, peas, moong, beans plants, and provides them nitrogen. The function of Rhizobium bacteria is converting the gaseous nitrogen into usable form, and this Rhizobium bacteria will not prepare its food, and it lives in the roots of these gram plants, pea plants, moong plant and bean plants. And means this Rhizobium bacteria gets shelter from these plants and it provides nitrogen to the, and it converts gaseous nitrogen to the usable form of nitrogen to the plants. Means here Rhizobium bacteria and these gram plants, pea plants and moong plants both live together. Means this type of relationship is called what? That is called symbiosis. I have said earlier, fungi and algae live together. That type of relationship is called symbiosis. The organism which includes algae and fungi is called lichen. This relationship is called symbiosis. The same happens here also. These Rhizobium bacteria live in the root of these plants and it provides nitrogen, the usable nitrogen to the plants. That means both are benefited and both live together. This type of relationship is called symbiotic relationship. See here. In turn, the plants provide food and shelter to the bacteria. Yes, I have said. Rhizobium bacteria provide the usable nitrogen to the plant and plant provide food and shelter to the bacteria. Thus, the plant and Rhizobium bacteria have a symbiotic relationship. That means Rhizobium bacteria converts gaseous nitrogen into usable form and it provides that usable nitrogen to the plant, and plant provides shelter and it gives place to the Rhizobium bacteria to live in its root. That means it provides shelter to the bacteria. And one more thing, these rhizobium bacteria cannot make its own food. That means the food for its rhizobium is provided by the plants. Means this plant provides food and shelter to the bacteria. Bacteria converts the gaseous nitrogen into usable form and it provides to the plant. That means both are benefited, both lives together. This type of relationship is called symbiotic relationship. See the next point here. This association provides great significance for the farmers. Yes, the association of this rhizobium bacteria and plant provides a great importance to the farmer because they can reduce the use of fertilizers for these plants. Means farmers need to add fertilizers to the soil to increase the amount of nitrogen in the soil. But the association of this rhizobium and plant means rhizobium provide nitrogen to the plant and the plant provide food and shelter to the rhizobium. This association helps the farmer to reduce the usage of fertilizers. Most of the pulses are obtained from leguminous plants. Leguminous plants means all the gram plants and all the pulses. Grams, pulses, what we get? These plants are called leguminous plants. Means these rhizobium bacteria are live in the roots of these leguminous plants. See the first image here. See, nitrogen in the air which is found in the gaseous form. The rhizobium bacteria which is present in the soil, it converts this gaseous nitrogen into usable form and provides this converted nitrogen to the plant. See here, rhizobium bacteria in nodule. See, on the roots there are some nodule like structures. Or see here, on the root there are small oval shaped structures. These are the nodules which are formed by the rhizobium. In these nodules the rhizobium is going to live. The plant provide a place to this rhizobium and this rhizobium convert nitrogen gas and it provides to the plant. This type of relationship is called symbiotic relationship. It is clear about how rhizobium bacteria provides nitrogen to the plant and how these plants provide food and shelter to the rhizobium. It is clear now. Yes, up to here we have studied how the plants gets nutrition, what are the different modes of nutrition, and how the process of photosynthesis is done in the plant and what are the components required for the process of photosynthesis, and some other heterotrophic plants also we have studied, some insectivorous plants we have studied, about saprotrophs we have studied, and how these plants obtain other components of food, means how these plants gets nitrogen from the soil. These all things we have studied up to here. See, I have said one thing, that is there is a presence of starch in the leaves and it indicates the process of photosynthesis. How to identify whether the starch is present in the leaf? Let's do an activity. See here, activity 1.1. What you have to do is take 2 potted plants of the same kind. What you have to do? You have to take 2 plants which are of same kind. Means if you took one hibiscus plant, means another one you have to take hibiscus only. Don't take different plants. Take 2 same plants and keep one plant in a dark room for 72 hours. 72 hours means 3 days. 3 days you have to keep in a dark room, or you can keep in a completely closed box. You keep one plant in a dark room or completely closed box and other plant in a sunlight, and keep other plant under sunlight. Perform iodine test with the leaves of both the plants and record the result. After 3 days, take each leaf from each plant. Take one leaf from each plant. One leaf from plant which is kept under sunlight, and one leaf from the plant which is kept in a dark room. Take 2 leaves from these 2 plants and put 2 to 3 drops of iodine on it. See the image here. What you observe, when starch is present, the leaf is converted into blue to black color. If the starch is absent in the leaf will not change its color. See the observation here. What we observe, I have written here. We observe that there is a blue-black color in the leaf of the plant kept in sunlight, which indicates the presence of starch. And there was no blue to black color in the leaf of the plant kept in the dark room, which indicates the absence of starch. See, the leaf which is kept under sunlight, it converts its color when we add iodine to it. It converts its color to blue to black color when we add iodine to it. And the leaf which is kept in dark room, it will not convert its color to blue to black when we add iodine. That means there is no starch in this leaf. The leaf which converts its color to blue to black, that means it shows the presence of starch in this leaf. This is the iodine test. For iodine test to be performed to identify whether the starch is present in the leaf or not. And this activity tells us starch is present in the leaves when the plant grows under sunlight. Means for the process of photosynthesis, plants require sunlight. Means this photosynthesis process to be carried out only in the presence of sunlight. By this process, what we get means what the product we get from the photosynthesis process, that is glucose and oxygen. Oxygen is released out, glucose is utilized by the plant. The glucose which is produced by the process of photosynthesis is by the presence of sunlight. That's why here starch is also present in the leaves. Means glucose is a carbohydrate, starch is also carbohydrate. Means in the presence of sunlight only glucose is produced in the plant. The more amount of glucose is present in the plant means it is stored in the form of starch. See the last point here. The glucose produced by photosynthesis is stored in the form of starch. Means higher the amount of glucose is produced in the plant means it is stored in the form of starch. Means starch and glucose, these both are carbohydrates. These both produced in the plants in the presence of sunlight. And this starch is also a carbohydrate. It is produced only in the presence of sunlight. When you kept a plant in the dark room, the leaf of that plant will not show the presence of starch. That means to produce starch also there is a need of sunlight. And one more thing we have to do here. When you kept one plant in a dark room and one plant under sunlight, after 3 days you done an iodine test. The plant which kept under sunlight shows the presence of starch, and the plant which kept under dark room, it shows the absence of starch. Now what you have to do is keep the plant which is kept earlier in the dark room. Now you keep that plant under the sunlight. and leave it for 2 to 3 days or 3 to 4 days. And after 3 to 4 days, perform the iodine test again in its leaves. And after 3 to 4 days, perform iodine test on the plant which is kept earlier in the dark room. After 3 days, when you keep this plant in the sunlight, after keeping that plant under sunlight, after 3 days, you take a leaf from that plant and perform a iodine test. And we observe that there is a blue-black color in the leaf. This indicates starch is present in the plants which grows under sunlight. And by this activity, we come to know plants shows the presence of starch when they grow under sunlight. When they grow under sunlight. That means this starch present in the plant when it grow under sunlight. And the glucose produced by photosynthesis is stored in the form of starch. The glucose is produced in the plant and it is utilized by the plant itself. The amount of nutrients needed by the plant is absorbed by the plant. That is, how much amount of nutrient needed by the plant, that much is absorbed by the plant. The remaining glucose which is left in the plant, that is stored in the form of starch. It is clear? Yes, this completes your chapter Nutrition in Plants. And keep on making notes. I will send exercise, PDF of exercise, and you can write down in the classwork book itself. And write down class points and classwork in the same notebook. Thank you.